right now in the United States, we're living in very, very tempestuous times.
Yeah, and I think I think what is interesting me from a gold perspective again is that we're very close to the wholesale markets, what's going on, and we see we are guaranteed that we know that, and apart from what's being reported with, for example, Russia upping their gold reserves openly, going
Many countries have that.
yeah,
Yes.
swapping their dollars for gold, buying all literally building their reserves. We're pretty darn sure from our contacts in China that China probably has closer to 25,000 tons of gold, probably unrehypothecated. And I think it would be amazing to me, and this is where I think the BIS comes in with this Basel III mandate, which is the NSFR standards, which basically say, look, unallocated gold is a risk, is a massive risk. We're going to remove the 50% haircut, and we're going to, in other words, unless you've got physical gold, you basically have to roll this onto your balance sheet as a liability. So really, what we're hearing for the first time in 50 years since Nixon took gold off the dollar peg, hey, we want a gold price, and it seems to me that the BIS is kind of going the Europe way rather than the US way, and saying, you know what, we would be better off with an actual gold-backed currency. So it's interesting that you're mentioning that Fed has no interest in this in gold.
It has not traditionally been a subject that even comes up. They sit around arguing about the most mundane, arcane things you could possibly ever imagine, which you've read Fed Up, you know about. So changing one word in the Federal Reserve statement can take 3 hours of deliberations in the Eccles building and during an FOMC meeting. It's just absolutely ridiculous. But to your point, when you just walked me through what you were just saying, I reiterate: currency war, trade war, hot war. Because you are describing the underpinnings of, I ask people all the time, and they reply very quickly. If Germany had to choose, which country would they side with if they were forced to choose? If Germany had to choose, which country provides more economic benefit? And right now, I don't think that I don't think that anybody can answer that with certainty.
Yeah, and I think I hear what you're saying, and it rhymes with what we're hearing, being exposed to Europe, being exposed to Asia, and some of the big players there. It rhymes.
I was in Italy for 10 days, and I was in France for 2 days, and I can tell you that the level of fiscal spending in the United States that has unleashed global inflation is not making people happy. That's how much money our government spent.
You know what, Danielle, I honestly think we could keep this going. You've been very generous with your time here, and I really appreciate it. And I think it would be nice to circle back as we sort of head into the new year and see what has rolled out here. Because as you say, my God, what you just described, that's tectonic. There's some tectonic changes going on.
4 empty seats on the Federal Reserve Board, 2 Federal Reserve districts who don't have presidents. We're at a time of very low leadership levels and an administration that appears to be paralyzed. And so this is just, it is with good reason that markets right now are extraordinarily nervous, because it's supposed to be BIS arbiter, Fed leader, rest of the central bank's followers. And that's not happening right now.
And a very last question, a cheeky one. Do you like silver?
I own silver.
Oh, yes. And which do you see as, which, I mean, obviously I see gold as money, silver for spending, really. So how do you, I mean, are you favoring silver?
I see gold as my ultimate hedge, but I also view silver as having very ideal industrial properties. Yeah. In addition to it being a store of value. So I like the fact that it's dual faceted. in nature. I mean, technology is not going to continue becoming, more technological. So the need for certain metals is not going to be reduced as a factor of time. It's going to be increased as a factor of time. So I'm a pragmatic investor, and I see silver as being a pragmatic holding.
And probably one of the most undervalued commodities on the planet Earth.
Oh, gracious, yes. I think we all know that.
Yeah, well, that's good. And
I mean, we've got to get the retail investor out of some of these markets.
Yes.
Because the retail investor can throw things around and they don't understand what they're dealing with, and they're playing with GameStop one day and silver the next, and they're completely. It's just the retail investor, which was not present in 2017, is very present today, and I think that is confusing the traditional views that we should have of gold and silver because of the craze of the Reddits, the chat rooms, the meme stock trading. It's definitely added an element of confusion, cryptocurrencies. So no, but silver is a good pragmatic hold. There's nothing cheeky about that. You asked me a practical question and I gave you a practical answer.
I think that's great. I think you're right. You've named the problem. The name of the problem is that people that come into the casino borrow money off the house, try and trade silver, and I think probably 90% of them lose all their money in 90 days. And it's just one of those markets where you've got position concentration. I worked with the CFTC. I worked with Bart Chilton. I was a whistleblower working with the CFTC since 2010, exposing spoofing, market manipulation, et cetera, et cetera. And the thing is, one thing that came out, and Bart Chilton, bless his soul, before he died, did say that there was up to 40% position concentration by JP Morgan, by one single bank. And now, obviously, now the position concentration question hasn't gone away completely either. And so really, basically, if you are a speculator, and I hear what you're saying, if you're a speculator, you get in the market, you borrow money from the casino, they know where your stops are. You'll be taken out.
The house always wins.
Always. Or at least 95% of the time. And they'll leave 5% for any good casino will leave you 5%.
That's not going to change the fact that silver is still a core holding.
Absolutely.